Good morning, it is Hannah from Communication Wise, and today I am going to talk about confronting somebody, maybe in the workplace or at home or in your friend group, but somebody that you encounter often does something that you don't like and you are not sure how to address it or confront that person. So I found this article. It's about conflict resolutions in the workplace, conflict resolution skills in the workplace, and I put it on my website, and I'll put it also in a blog that I will publish on my website. And then this author gives the reader no less than 14 tips to work on your conflict resolution skills in the workplace. So I'm going to discuss 2 of them because I think 14 is a little much. And plus they can all go together in 2 main categories. So the first one is obviously active listening, and that is the number 1 de-escalation and conflict resolution skill. And I have in my other videos talked a lot about active listening. Very short, when I teach it in my classes, in my trainings, I always say active listening starts with quieting your own mind. I think that is very important when you are able to pause your own thoughts and really just listen to what the other person has to say. You get a lot of information about, however they view what is going on, and you are not clouding that with your own thoughts because you were really just listening. So the other one that I want to talk a little bit more about today is, this author says, don't take anything personally. So that's a really good one, but how do you do that, right? And then she says, separate yourself from the problem, which sounds really cool, but you are always part of the problem, right? Because you are in it. There's something that the other does that you don't like. So how are you not part of the problem? So she is right though, and I'm going to talk about how to separate yourself from the problem. Because if we do this consistently, we are still going to walk into inconveniences because they are going to come up. There's no way that, the rest of your life will be peaceful and there will be no conflict. No, conflict is part of your daily life, but you can deal with it in a way that if you are able to not take it so personally, your day will be a lot easier and your relationships will be a lot better. So it's all worth it. Think about the next scenario, which is like very common. Somebody does something in traffic that you don't like. Let's say they cut you off or they cut the line, right? You're all waiting in that one lane. You're all stopped. You're all paused. And then there's these cars zooming past you. And they all need to merge, and you have to wait longer. This happens very often, even in these times of Corona. It happens, right? So now these people don't know us. They have no relationship with us. But when this happens to me, I do feel some sort of attacked. I do feel some sort of, what did you do to me? Right? And if I don't take a step back in that moment, I'm going to start acting like a crazy driver myself. I'm just, teaching them a lesson. But really, like, think about it. Are they going to receive that lesson? No. Do I want to spend my energy on teaching a stranger a lesson that they're not going to receive? No. So this is a typical example of let it go. When I know I'm doing the right thing and I merged before, I'm all the way at the end where there is just one lane. I know I did the right thing. That should be enough. Let it go that somebody else is cutting lines. But now we have a crazy driver at work or at home. We deal with them every day. And, whatever they do, they don't clean up after themselves, or they just do the bare minimum, or they, give into short-term satisfactions like gossiping or other ways to really like sabotage the harmony of the group. So how can we stop that like degree of really just like, by lack of other words, bad behavior? So first of all, like the author in that article that I'm going to publish says, separate yourself from the problem. And think about it this way. Your existence, who you are, is not being threatened because they're acting like a jerk. Let's be honest. That's just how it is, right? So realizing that will put their behavior, even though you're super annoyed, but we'll put it in a lighter, in a different perspective. And then, because this is not going to go away by itself, and it will only get worse if you don't address it, you want to find a good moment to talk in private with that person. And so this is the real work, right? So first you want to ask yourself, before you even ask that person to have a private conversation with you, is it worth it? And when you are very annoyed, when you notice this at a daily basis, it probably is worth it. So then you figure out what the behavior is that you want to like redirect or tweak or change, right? And think about it this way. A behavior, what somebody does, can be changed. Who somebody is or what their values are, that's a little harder. And that's not going to be solved or changed or tweaked within a conversation or two. So I always say with my other trainers to stick to behavior. If you want to change something, stick to behavior. What it is that they do, what you really, really don't like. All right. So now there's a very important step that we all forget, and that is slow down and humanize that person. Expand that picture of them, because they're really not like little devils in disguise. They are also human beings. And I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I have built in my head so many little devils and disasters in my hands. And then I just got way ahead of myself when I addressed it. So I made it way bigger than it was, which really had the opposite effect of a lot of resistance from the other person. So humanize that person, expand the picture, and then describe to the person the behavior instead of your conclusions about it. So for example, oh, I noticed that you cut her off in mid-sentence. Instead of, oh my God, you are so rude, you know. And then follow up with a question. Can you tell me more about that meeting? Can you tell me more about when, at that moment when you cut her off in mid-sentence? And then really listen to the whole answer, explore the consequences of that behavior. So what do you think, you know, is the consequence of cutting somebody off in mid-sentence? What do you think will be a constructive way? And then make a plan. And even, and this is true, even when you are a peer of that person, you can ask them for a commitment. You are not their boss. You know, when you are a supervisor and when you have that hierarchy, it might be easier, but you can even ask from a peer a change of behavior and a commitment. And then like, it's really the way you are going to ask for that commitment and maybe a follow-up. So there are a million variations to this subject, but the most important is you're doing great by starting the change. You know, if you're not going to address it, if you are choosing to avoid it, the issue will only get bigger, and then you are gonna be a lot more distance from that person, which is usually not good for the relationship. And by speaking up, you are just doing yourself a favor and also the other person, because you are opening up the dialogue for improvement. So I'm hoping this was helpful. The 2 tips of today is the active listening that I always mention. And then the second is separate yourself from the issue by stepping back and looking at your role of what is it what you do that could influence that behavior, and what is it what they do and that can be, and what can be changed about that behavior. So thank you very much for watching, and please comment if you have anything to add or say or whatever you think, and then I will see you next time.